This news story was produced by Cogeco North Bay News. To watch the full newscast, tune into channels 12 or 700 live at 5:30 p.m. Monday to Friday.
Don's Butcher Shop was ground zero for the fire that gutted a portion of downtown Sturgeon Falls on Thursday night, as hundreds, if not thousands, looked on as the fire blazed for hours. This young lady was eating dinner with her family downtown when she was told to leave the scene as the fire erupted.
I was eating at the Chinese food restaurant with my family, and a fireman walked in and said, you guys have to evacuate the building because Don's Butcher Shop is on fire. So we were like, okay. So we had to leave, we paid, and then we were just standing here watching the fire, and then we went home. When we came back, like around 2 hours, the two other buildings were on fire. So I was like, this is weird. Like, I seen it just like 2 hours ago, like almost out. So I was kind of weird.
Had a chance on this night to speak to the manager of the Dollar Bazaar store located a little bit further down from the main fire scene on King Street, but the manager was concerned the fire would spread to his business, but he was even more concerned about those living in the apartments above the store.
Well, no, I just went home for supper and I was just coming back to close the store for the last shift, right? So I was on break, so when I came back and all of a sudden I seen this King Street being blocked off. So I seen fire trucks in the middle of the road, so I was wondering what's going on. So I came closer and I realized that Don's Butcher Shop was on fire. Well, I mean, at that time it was just smoke coming out of it, right? From all directions, from the front window and the back windows, from the back of the butcher shop. And then after that, we just stood there and we waited about an hour, and all of a sudden the flames started in the back of the building apparently. And then that's when backup started coming from other fire stations.
At its peak, what did you think?
Oh man, I thought the whole block was going to go, to be honest. Those three buildings that are connected, the Don's Butcher Shop, the H&R block, the Denmark's building, all that, I thought they were going to go, and the buildings beside it as well. So I just kind of seen these huge flames, and I'm like, oh man, this is real, unreal. So I just kind of like pushed back, and I was like, you know what, I'm going home to kind of calm down, relax, and we'll see what happens, right? So, but it was very surreal.
And did you fear for your store growing up?
Oh, of course, I had to, of course. I mean, yeah, it was definitely in my mind, but at the same time, I was fearing more for the people who were living upstairs, right? Most of these people are low-income families up there who most likely don't have insurance, right? Most of the business owners, most of the stores were already closed. We were the only operating store at that time till 9. Everything else closed at 6, so everything else business-wise was safe, and most of these companies are covered with insurance, and all of them are. It's more about the people living upstairs, and they were more about, I think, in shock than anybody else about business owners. I mean, it still affects us, but most of us, I would say, it's all about the people who are living upstairs, where they lost their home, they lost their housing, they lost all their products, their clothing, all the major stuff that they need, right? So that's more of a concern than the business, I would say.
The good news is there were no physical injuries sustained on Thursday night, but the damage to Sturgeon Falls will last a long, long time. Picking up the pieces the next day is Cogeco North Bay News' Clarke Heipel.
More than 18 hours have passed since the initial fire call was placed to the West Nipissing Fire Department. During the lunch hour on this Friday, firefighters are still battling. West Nipissing Fire Chief Richard Maranda tells us what the firefighters saw upon arrival at the scene.
There was a heavy smoke coming out of the building, the initial building. Firefighters entered, one in the commercial part of it with a hose line, and tried to extinguish some flames that they saw right away. They kind of knocked it down somewhat, and all of a sudden it just flared up right away. Therefore, they had to retreat. Another crew went upstairs to make sure that the whole building was evacuated. And then we had other firefighters, as they were coming in, went to the adjacent building to evacuate, make sure that all the apartments had been evacuated. And then we actually really started fighting the fire from the exterior then.
It's still early, but any chance of trying to whittle down what caused this?
Well, the Office of the Fire Marshal's investigator is here. We are going to be actually, once it's fully extinguished, the investigator and the fire prevention officer are going to go in the building and try and determine what caused it. Right now, the cause is still undetermined.
Right now, how many buildings are affected?
There's 2 buildings that are affected fire-wise. There might be smoke in adjacent buildings. We're not aware of that as of yet. We'll be investigating those as we go.
The estimated damage in a dollar figure is staggering.
Our quick estimate is probably over $1 million.
Sturgeon Falls resident Jean Labont recalls her Thursday evening.
I was downtown doing stuff, and my husband stopped by and said he was going to pick up some steaks before going home. So he did, and when I got home he had mentioned that the freezers were quite warm, more warm than usual, and I didn't think anything of it. So when I got home, a few minutes after, I went on Facebook, and that's when posts started popping up that there was a fire at Dawn's. And I was like, oh my God. And then I started watching more and more pictures as they were being posted, and slowly went from one building to another, and it is so sad.
The North Bay branch of the Canadian Red Cross is stepping up to the plate in a big way.
Red Cross currently is coordinating with Victim Services of Nipissing Parry Sound. We're also coordinating with the Sturgeon Falls Pentecostal Church, who is working with all kinds of residents from Sturgeon Falls to gather up items that they feel the victims may need at this time.
Located above the businesses are apartments.
We're aware of 11 apartments that may have been affected. Of those, we were informed last night, preliminary, 3 are destroyed. Out of that, we've identified 9 individuals who have been directly affected. There may be more, but we're not sure at this time.
How are you able to assist?
Red Cross at this point is providing emergency lodging to those clients that we've identified. We are reaching out to those clients this morning, once they've had some sleep, of course, to see what other assistance we can provide, as well as not directly from us, but coordinating and connecting them with other local services.
If you are interested in watching Cogeco North Bay News, you can become a subscriber by calling 1-800-267-9000.